You're listening to Rocket Night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down, if you feel up good. Get on down.
Hello, this is Eric the Viking for Rocket Night, and joining me today is Laurence Jones of the Laurence Jones Band. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak to me today.
No worries.
Can you tell us a bit about the band?
Well, I first started my own band when I was 15, and I used to play in all the pubs, and my dad would do the sound and drive the tour van, and make sure I was a supervisor while playing everywhere. And then I got my first record deal when I was 18, and started the Laurence Jones Band, and just went on from there. Really, I remember having a choice when I was studying at Birmingham Music Academy of finishing off my degree or going on tour with Johnny Winter. I chose to go on tour with Johnny Winter, and I've sort of gone on to support the likes of Buddy Guy, Joe Bonamassa, Van Morrison, Status Quo, Ringo Starr, some of my heroes that I grew up listening to. So yeah, I think when people say to me, you're not going to get your full qualification that you've studied for, I feel I don't regret it.
No, I think most people in the business or following the music, etc., would say that you've kind of gotten your qualifications just in a different way.
Yeah, I've definitely paid my dues, as it was.
Yes, exactly.
I've played to one man and his dog once, and I've played to 10,000, 12,000 people. So yeah.
Yeah. So with all that in mind, when you first started, you were getting a lot of media attention. And it felt like at one stage, probably around 2014 in particular, it was like there was a ton of pressure being put on you, like almost as if you were the blues messiah. You were the person who was going to take the blues into the next century. What was it like finding yourself in the middle of all of that? Because obviously you were young, but you're still quite young, but you were young and just come out of as you said, having gone from playing to a man and his dog to suddenly everyone wanted a piece of you.
I think I remember feeling honoured and no pressure at all. I remember feeling like this warm feeling inside that, wow, people are actually taking note of what I'm doing and liking it and connecting with it, and coming to my gigs and packing out my gigs, and there's a real buzz about me, and I was getting into guitar magazines that I'd always grew up reading, and playing big venues that I'd always saw artists perform at on DVD. So you're looking back, I would have thought that the pressure would have got to me, but I was just riding on that wave. Okay. And I was loving it, and I was ready for it.
Well, that's a good that's a good thing, because in the wrong environment, that can be almost a crushing thing. And I mean, obviously, you're still going strong, so it worked.
Yeah, and in the early day, I got to support Walter Trout, and he was really took me under his wing, and he sat me down, and I was only like 18, 19 at the time, and he was like, don't drink and don't do drugs, and this is how you want to inspire to me, that this is how it makes you. And he was saying that his liver was going, that was just before his liver transplant, and he promised to play on my record, the one that you're on about in 2014 called Temptation. And that was my first big blues record, and I went over to Louisiana to record it with with Mike Zito at Dockside Studio, where like Derek Trucks had done albums, B.B. King, and Walter had agreed to play on my album, and I remember him being so ill, he still played on it.
Yeah.
And stuck to his word, and I just thought, that's the sort of guy that I want to take influence from. So I've been very lucky to be taught the old school way, by the best.
Yeah, no, that's very much Walter. I mean, I've followed Walter for a very long time, and it's great to see him back in fine form. But
yeah, it's great.
But him dragging himself into a studio when he probably shouldn't have. That sounds very much like the man.
And that took a lot of pressure off me, because these guys was raving about me, and they made it quite easy for me in a way, because they were giving me their blessing and their word, and I couldn't ask for more than that.
Yeah.
And when Buddy Guy was even asking about me, and I was backstage at a gig, and he's like, who's this Laurence Jones? this white boy from England. Bring him in my dressing room. Brought him in. He said, what's this about you playing the blues then?
Yeah.
And I just said, just having a bit of fun. He's like, let's have some fun tonight. And he got me up on stage, and that was probably the biggest schooling I've ever had.
I can imagine. Yeah, he doesn't take prisoners.
That was insane. And when I was on stage with him, he said what key do you want to play in? I said, can we do this one in C? I went, no, actually I'll do it in A. He goes, you better make up your fucking mind.
Uh-huh. No pressure.
So it was definitely an experience.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I first saw you back in 2014. You were doing that acoustic opening set for Joanne Shaw Taylor when she was doing that little gig for Planet Rock in the 022. And you were still with Roger and Miri at that point. And since then, you've assembled quite a tour de force of a band, and you've come extremely far. But looking back that far, it must almost feel like another lifetime, even though it's only about 5 years, not even 5 years, because that was in the November. How do you feel like you've grown as an artist since then?
So much has happened. I've had a big record label invest in me, which is, Sony and Top Stop Music. I've had the pleasure of working with great musicians and finding younger guys who grew up listening to the same stuff that I listen to, who's in the same place. Changed different management. Got an amazing management now, and went from playing on, opening up for acts for a Planet Rock event and being a hush secret event to now being A-listed on Planet Rock.
Yeah.
Which is a massive achievement, which is what we set out to do. When you saw us there, that was our introduction to Planet Rock, and to get our connection with going with a real radio station who support in real bands, because that is so rare now.
It is.
So much has changed, and I took a huge risk on the last album to go a little bit more mainstream, and it really paid off in Europe and in Holland. We got on national radio and TV, and got a bit of a hit over there with that album. So it was amazing to have that experience and go up another level, like we have over there. But I think coming back to this record now that we've just done, we've got all of that buzz out of the way. We've got all of that newness out of the way, and all the new faces now are like family. So we fit in together. We've done 2 years of touring together. We've progressed. We've done 2 years of pre-production for this album, working on songs. I wrote like 60, 70 songs for this album, and chose the best 12. So this is the hardest working album I've ever worked on, and this longest I've ever had one coming out, because I normally put an album out every year.
Yeah, but it's definitely
a year and a half. But this is two years coming up, and yeah, it feels good. It feels like I've come back to my roots, you know, and made it really about the music.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that cementing of the band also played a part in expanding from just being Laurence Jones to the Laurence Jones Band.
Yeah, when I first started out, that's what I called myself, and it was a management decision when I was a very young age to call it Laurence Jones, not Laurence Jones Band.
Yeah.
And this album, this is the first album I've ever used the same band for. And it's my band that I built a connection with, who are like brothers now. So it feels good to know that them friendships are strong. So I had to call it Laurence Jones Band. You know, all them old school records that I grew up listening to, Allman's Brothers Band. You know, you know, Steve Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. You know, he's got Rory Gallagher, all them sort of stuff. It was like that's where we wanted to take influence from, would be a proper band, you know. So we're going to call it Laurence Jones Band.
Yeah, and
a new chapter.
Yeah, and you can hear the chemistry in the music. You know, it's very lively, and you can hear the interplay and how it all works, and it comes together very nicely. Oh,
thank you. What's your favorite track?
Now, see, that's the thing, and that's actually a question I was going to come to for you, because you've got you've got 12 superb examples of contemporary blues, and you can hear it touches on sort of the varied history of the genre itself, and some of it's obvious, some of it is subtle. But you've also got a number of standout tracks. I mean, obviously, I'm Waiting. It's getting a huge amount of radio play now, which must feel fantastic. And it's a super song. You know, I can understand why you went with that for the first single. It's just absolutely loaded with energy, and it hooks you in straight away. But one of the really standout tracks for me is Long, Long, Lonely Ride.
Oh, cool!
Because it really shows off your musicianship on the acoustic guitar. Because if a song can stand on its own on acoustic guitar, you've got something special.
Yeah, well, we were meant to record that song. I wrote that song about 3 years ago, and that's one of the songs I brought to Top Stop Music and Sony when I first signed with them, and we did it as a band, and we made it sort of like Eric Clapton's JJ Trail sort of vibe, and it was like, yeah, it's good, it's good blues, but we'll come back to that. And we thought, that'll probably never come back to, fast forward to 2 years on, and
there it is.
We do it again to play it in the rehearsal room. We went to the Caribbean in Curacao to do pre-production to meet our producer, and we were just playing it, and he walks in the room, and he listens to us, and he's just sat down with his hands in his head, and we're like, "Oh shit, what have we done? Is it not good enough again?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Oh, does he think we're stale bringing the same song?" And he goes, "No, right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make it authentic. We're gonna play the acoustic guitar. We're gonna make it really simple, and because simple is harder to play."
Yeah. It is.
And I was like, wow, that's a statement. I'm up for that challenge. So we tried to do it simple, and then we simplified it and simplified it again, and it came out to that, and it was literally one take. That was. So yeah, we just like, right, we're going to get the vibe, and whatever it will be. We're going to leave it on the record.
Yeah, well, you definitely succeeded with that one.
That's cool.
I mean, there's other tracks like Mistreated, Beautiful Place, Heart is on Fire, The Love. I mean, they're all individually on their own. They are extremely strong tracks, but I do have sort of like the cheeky favorite of the Day Tripper cover as well.
Really?
Yeah, because I like what you did there, because obviously I have the press release, and I know what you were trying to do there, and you can hear that, and that sort of interplay between the SRV and the Beatles. It's just a really fun song.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay, Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, this is something just fun to kind of groove out with.
But I hope I did it justice, because that was our producer's idea, and he likes to chuck me in the deep end. And he said, "You're from Liverpool, Peter's from Liverpool." He was like, "I want to give this a go," and I'm really glad I did it, because I think live it's gonna be amazing to do.
Yeah, that's going to be one of those things that's going to get everybody up and dancing and singing along, all mad and crazy. So, what's your favorite, or is that something that kind of changes with the mood? Because I mean, that's the thing about music. I mean, one day a favorite album for me might be something by Zeppelin. The next day it might be Muse. So it's
yeah. I think my two. No, I think they're always the two that stand out for me, and the first one's Wipe Those Tears Dry.
Yeah.
Because that's to me, that's like the ultimate progression of what my previous album would from The Truth. I feel like that's if we'd have all had that connection from the start and that experience, that's how the Truth would have sounded.
Okay.
So it felt amazing for me personally to know that we've progressed and we can do that pop blues stuff, pop rock blues stuff. But probably my favourite track on the album's Everything's Gonna Be Alright, because that was the first song I wrote, and I was like, right, I'm going to shape the whole album from this song.
And that is a brilliant track as well.
Oh, thank you.
It's one of those things where it's kind of hard to say because
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is, and I can imagine when it comes to choosing singles that it must make it really difficult to say what comes next, because often.
I didn't choose.
Well, okay, well that makes it a bit easier then.
I stay out of it because all them songs become my babies.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And then I'm too attached to it. And then when they do a single cut, and then I listen to it, I'm like, no, it shouldn't be like that. It should be the 10-minute guitar solo.
Yeah, true, fair enough.
So I trust the people I work with.
Okay. Which is good.
I've read a lot of stuff about artists not choosing their singles and letting the people have it all the plugger, and if you're proud of the whole album, then why not?
Yeah, which is fair enough. Yeah, because sometimes we get too emotionally attached to things, and that's not always going to be the thing that's going to stoke the audience.
Yeah. But we wanted to put I'm Waiting out there because we wanted to be like, hello guys, we're back.
Yeah, then the video is with Wyatt.
We wanted to add a bit of British humour in. We thought that's lacking at the moment, and we like to take the mix, so why not?
Which is good, because it's also good to be able to poke fun at yourself as well, because you don't want to take it too seriously. You got to have fun.
Of course you have. Music's fun, and that song's mad.
Yeah,
so
and that's going to be another one live. That's going to be another live kicker as well.
Yeah, we started opening with that at the moment on our live shows, and people have been freaking out and loving it.
That's good. So with the production of the album, because it has a really plush live sound, did you record it live rather than tracked?
Yeah, we did everything live. And that's what we wanted to do. I mean, we tracked it last time and we used exactly the same studio, and you hear the two different albums. We really, really, really sat down and talked about how we wanted it before we even went in there for a year.
Okay.
I think, and how we were going to record it. We were going to record the drums with just 3 microphones like John Bonham would, and make it really roomy and old school. And we were going to track everything live and maybe just do 1 or 2 overdubs on the solos, guitar solos. Everything I want to that you hear there. We can replicate exactly the same live.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is lacking in the music industry. At the moment.
Yeah, it's very flat. It's very flat.
Yeah,
mass-produced.
They've got laptops or tracks behind, or they've created some wild sounds in the studio that they can't get live, that they have to make bring another guitarist that's got 10 amps behind him in, you know,
or they have an effects rack sitting there chucking out all the overdubs during the gig.
And we didn't want nothing fancy. We're not here to change the revolution of the music industry, and with this album, we're here to give a bit of vintage back, a bit of old school, and a bit like, look, this is what's actually missing. You know, this is what we love. You know, we're paying respects to our heroes. You know, like the Rolling Stones and
which you can see obviously in the cover art as well, because your album cover, it's pure vintage. It could have been on a cover from 1969.
It's cool.
And the thing that struck me, the undercurrent, you mentioned John Bonham, but actually the sort of undercurrent that I was getting from the production values for it reminded me of classic Cream.
Yeah. Definitely.
With that sort of swing, that real swing to the drums, and that you got that slight sort of jazzy funk going behind the blues, and it comes together really well, and it works on a really keen level.
Oh, thank you. Well, I didn't want to go in there and do massive, guitar distorted sounds. I wanted to keep it real classic, like the guitar amp was just breaking up and you turned it up, like how Peter Green would go in, or Eric Clapton, or Jimmy Page, they'd just go in with a guitar and an amp and just plug it in and turn it up. We wanted to, make that really authentic. I think I used probably two pedals on maybe three pedals on that album, and just kept it the guitar, my 60s Blondie 1964 Strat, and we had all the vintage gear, vintage Hammonds and old 60s Ludwig. So all the gear was vintage. What we wanted to sound modern was the recording.
Yeah.
So we wanted the vintage sound on. Obviously, we didn't want to record it on tape, or we didn't want to go that vintage. We wanted it to have a modern edge in terms of being clear through the speakers and being clear for radio, and being clear so people can hear all the beautiful parts on the album. Yeah,
which you can. And it although you've basically just said that it's recorded digital, it does almost have an analog clarity to it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
And looking at the time, okay, so I'm going to move swiftly along. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, I'm 45 this year, so I've seen the blues go through quite some changes over the years. Music's always a cyclical thing, you have all your different trends and everything else like that. And right now, mass-produced music largely all sounds the same. Blues is always sort of steered a very steady course, and like every 10, 20 years it seems to peak again, where it really captures the imagination of people. We seem to be in another one of those moments, because there's a lot of bands coming up that are either blues oriented or blues rock, and it seems to have created a really strong presence. What do you think is contributing to that current surge in popularity at the moment?
I think people are finally realising that there's other types of music out there in the UK that's other than rap and pop, and they're sort of maybe a little bit bored with it, or that everything is becoming the same, and they want to take note, or their parents are switching kids. Kids are asking more about music and asking, where it came from. And I think vintage is really popular right now. When I look to fashion, all the kids are wearing all the old school 80s stuff.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people wearing 70s flares, and so even I think the industry's changed huge even since I've been in it. And I think people are coming out, more with freedom of speech and not being as shy, and I think that's a good thing. I think people picking up a musical instrument is really healing in today's world, and I think the more people that do it, the better. And when I was doing it, when I first came around, it seemed, and I was one of the only blues youngsters out there at the time. It seemed to be quite a hard competitive game that not many people was open to, letting you in. But I feel like, the more people that can play good music and get into the blues and come through and create a name and a buzz and switch someone who wasn't onto the blues, and everyone can all come together, I think, we've got a strong chance of pushing through.
Yeah, and you're also playing music that actually has substance to it and a message and a bit of a story and can draw people in as well. And that there's always going to be a song that someone can identify with.
Exactly, yeah, and I just think like these old blues songs like Thriller's Gone and Clapton, even when Clapton does Sunshine of Your Love, I think they're just tunes that will never go away.
Yeah,
and people will always want to inspire to stuff like that. It's just simplicity music, and sometimes you can't beat that.
No. Al, you've got quite a jam-packed UK tour kicking off in November in support of the album. Looking forward to seeing you in London.
Cool.
Any plans on taking that beyond the UK in 2020?
Yeah, definitely. We'll be going out there. I mean, we've got 2 backing singers as well that we're bringing out because we've got a lot of backing vocals on the album, and we've been having backing vocals on big major festivals that we do. So it's nice that the development of the band might even grow bigger by then.
Yeah.
But yeah, in September we've got the album tour, and we're going throughout Germany, Holland, Sweden, the UK, France. We're all over the place.
Okay.
It's scary looking at the diary right now.
I can imagine.
Thinking, wow, is that going to be my life coming up soon?
Yeah, well, it's
the biggest tour I've ever done.
Okay.
Bam, here's our album, bam, here's our European tour. It's been amazing, the planning that's been involved in it this time. I've been in it in the early days where I've planned stuff myself, and hats off to my management, because there's no way I could have planned something as big as this coming up.
Yeah, I can imagine. And of course, the numbers of people coming in are growing, and the venues are getting bigger, and the amount of equipment that has to go and staff that go with you, I imagine, is doubled as well in size. So
the families keeps on growing.
Well, all the best for that. Because I'm sure it won't be too long before you're really really bricking it, because you're going to have to be arranging worldwide tours if the right things are going.
Well, I'm just happy to always keep my feet on the ground and just keep doing it for the music and keep putting it out there, because I'll never turn to the dark side with the X Factor. You don't need to worry about that.
Okay. All right. Not going to go diva. Huh? All right. Well, I wish you all the best for the launch in September, and see you on the road.
Great.
Thank you for your time, and don't stress too much about the tour.
It's what I live for. Thank you very much. I enjoyed that interview.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Rock at Night.